hope I can live up to that introduction here. But so my name is Saila Kariat, and I'm the writer, director, and co-producer of The Valley. The Valley is truly, it was a labor of love for me. And announcing here in India during World Mental Health Day has a special meaning because it really deals with the topic of depression and suicide, and does it in the context of present-day world. And depression is actually on the rise in the current environment, even though, by and large, the state of the human condition is improving in many ways. I mean, we're definitely more affluent, more healthy than we were in the past. So it's kind of a big question. Why is it increasing? And that's one of the questions I grapple with in the Valley, which is our present-day value system and what we're focusing on is making us less connected as people and having fewer meaningful relationships in our lives and less of a support structure. And so that's contributing to this whole problem of depression. And I'm sure we'll discuss this further in our panel, but that's kind of the tie between the movie and World Mental Health Day and why we have put this panel together to talk about this topic.
Thank you so much, and I request you to please take your seat. Thank you. Give it up for her, ladies and gentlemen. A very dear friend of mine, but what do I say? Do I talk about her as a human being, an artist, or both? Dilemma for me because she excels in every department. Indian actress, model, DJ. She plays Rupa in The Valley, who's the mother of 2 daughters. Known for Dil Jata Hai, fashion, and the other side of the door, ladies and gentlemen, Suchitra, Pillai. Well, I just met her down for the first time, but I didn't tell her this. I'm going to say it on the mic. My first crush. You know, sometimes I get empowered holding the mic. I was actually speechless down there. I just said, hi, hello, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, a woman who's broken norms in every aspect of her life, as an individual, as an actress, straightforward, upfront, bold, fearless in an approach to everything. Ladies and gentlemen, Pooja Bhatt. The next woman of substance exhibits an outstanding experience of 27 years in the field of counseling, psychological assessment, psycho-educated interventions for children, adolescents, and young adults. She will give us rock-solid insights today. Anurit Sethi. Ma'am, can we have you on board, please? Thank you. Listen, for all the ladies, please, round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. What a day to be together. Saila, you know, we have heard of the awards. We've heard about people giving you critical acclaim. But when I was chatting with you yesterday, today, there's a deeper meaning to your film. It's not just about the film, right? Was it something which you derived from your own life to say, I'm going to make a film on a teenager who's committing suicide because of depression? Was it your own analogy, or was it because you saw someone close to you? How did it start?
So the topic of mental health issues has affected my family, both my extended family as well as my nuclear family. So, I mean, not the family I grew up in, to be clear. So it's something I've always cared about. Living where I live in Silicon Valley in California, I've witnessed a lot of like the pressures that are put on young people and the kind of struggles that they face in trying to meet expectations and live up to the pressures that they are under. And so that was a big inspiration. There was a suicide, there's a whole slew of suicides in Silicon Valley, a cluster of 14 in 1 year. And that was, you know, shocking to everybody. And right before I started writing the script, there was a girl who jumped off the overpass of one of the highways And I knew her actually. I mean, I didn't know her very well, but she was someone who was an acquaintance. So it was really, it was really shocking for most people what happened there. And so that really, inspired me to start writing the story.
Suchi, you are playing Rupa, the mother of Maya, who commits suicide because of depression.
Yes.
You are a mother in real life. You've got a 10-year-old daughter. When you were working on a subject like this, were you picking up bits and bits from your own life and adding it to Rupa?
Well, I was just hoping that something like that would not happen in my life and in my daughter's life, frankly speaking. Yes, my daughter is 10 years old, and I do see, the pressure that causes kids to go through, depression or, isolation, etc. I see it in our everyday life as well. I mean, she's in the 5th standard, but this need to perform, Mama, I need to get good marks, I want you to be proud of me. And I said, where does all of this come from? I'm happy even if if you don't get good marks, it's all right, but they feel the pressure from such a young age. So when this script came up and everything, of course, it did touch a chord. I've luckily not had depression, but my grandmother, my mother's side of the family has suffered through it, and I've seen it from a young age onwards, what it does to people. So I knew about it, per se. But when the film came up, I have to say, I was, the only thing I was hoping and praying is that it would never happen to my daughter. So it really helped me as far as waking up and smelling the coffee and seeing, because we all are in nuclear families. I'm part of a nuclear family as well. And to know what not to do, to prevent it from actually happening in my family.
Pooja, you've had quite a journey in your life. You've been vocal about every aspect of your journey as well, which I really admire. Have you ever gone through, like Suchi was just saying now about performance pressure? I have to excel in my films. I've got to excel in every department, which at one point of time made you wake up and say, I'm not happy with life because of performance pressure. Have you gone through that?
I've gone through more than performance pressure. First of all, I'm sorry I'm sounding overtly husky today, but I just am recovering from swine flu.
You're sounding more bassier than I am.
Well, maybe I am more bass than you are, darling. But anyway, that's not the point here. The thing is that I think that when I first became a director with a film called Paap, my father, I remember, wrote me a letter on the day of the release, and he said to me, he said, well, Pooja, while, this day for you might be the most monumental day, you're releasing a film as a director. And for me as a father, I kind of oscillate between the dread of you failing and the hope of you succeeding. For the world, this is just another day. And there are more people out there in Bollywood who would want to see you fail than want to see you succeed. And if you're surprised by that, then which world have you been living in? This is Planet Bollywood, darling. And there is no gratitude in this business. So there's an illusion in people's heads out there that filmmaking, acting, the arts is a place which is kind of full of highs and, events like this where we sit in air-conditioned rooms and we're kind of looking pretty. It's a journey that is just laced with humiliation, frustration, self-doubt. You have to constantly tell yourself that you're worthy because everybody around you is making you feel unworthy. I mean, when we were acting back in the day, when we were modeling Suchi, me and Suchi go back a really long way, we didn't have the pressure of social media. But we still felt so pressurized by society to be the women that we were. And we were born to mothers and fathers who allowed us to be us. But not everyone has that privilege. And I'm just so glad to be here on this day, sitting with these women to kind of make a film that deals with depression, to deals with things that people don't want to talk about, is such a brave act. And I applaud you for that. Because, it takes a lot to put your money where your mouth is and your belief. And, people say, but, you guys don't make relevant films. I'm like, do you really want to watch our relevant films? And somehow it's left to us filmmakers and to us artists to maybe really steer the world towards, like what you said earlier, we've lost our moral compass. We don't share enough anymore. We might be having dinner in the same house on the same table, but we don't know what's passing through the other person's head. So pressure is there. Pressure is there on you from the time you're born into the world. That's if you make it into the world as a woman, either your life is just annihilated before you kind of even make it out, because I mean they prefer a male heir, and then society is trying to kill your spirit. And then you enter a business where you're dissected constantly for how you sound, how you don't sound, the standards of the world, and we buy into it and we fall for it. And this obsession with showing this together face, this happy face, I'm okay. I'm not okay. It's such a relief to hear people say that, I'm not okay. We don't ask for help and we don't hear each other's silences enough, which is why they say to know each other intimately is to know each other's tragedy. If I don't know your tragedy, I don't know you. That when I share with you what your fears are, is when I know you, and we live in a world where we're comfortable sharing bodies. We're comfortable sharing drugs, but we don't share each other's fears with each other. We don't share vulnerabilities. And for us in the artistic world, it's a dichotomy, because if we lose our vulnerability, and if we lose the accessibility we have to our emotions, then we stop being artists of the kind the world wants to applaud. But at the same time, you've got to go out into the world and be in control and show your together face and not be sensitive and not feel anything. So we're constantly being forced to lead this kind of schizophrenic existence. To find that balance, I think, is tough. But I think the fact that we're here and we're talking about this is the greatest kind of step forward, because you can only confront something when you can acknowledge it. I confronted that I had an alcohol problem by acknowledging I had an alcohol problem. I was deeply depressed, and I thought that the balm that I was using, that was alcohol, was actually kind of going to take that kind of pain away. It made it worse. And until that time I could actually recognize that about me, I couldn't step away from that. So we all have our ways. Some people deal with depression with workaholic, with work. And as long as you're a workaholic and you're making money for somebody, they don't care about you. But we're all addicts in a way. For some people it's work, for some people it's sex, for some people it's drugs, for some people it's money, for some people it's power, for some people it's fame.